I would like to discuss the topic of divine compensation, the law of divine compensation. Now, everything in life, in nature, is balanced. In our lifetime, sometimes we don't see the balance because we don't have the vantage point, right? We don't have the vantage point of the whole universe to step back and see the whole thing. But there's equilibrium throughout the universe. It doesn't stop. It can't help itself. So sometimes when really bad things are happening or appear to be happening, they're not really bad things. It's just that things are rebalancing. Sometimes you do a spell and it seems like things get worse, not better at first. That's not what's happening. What's happening is that all of the imbalances that you have, that are causing whatever the issue is that you're addressing with the spell, are now then turned around, and that rebalancing sometimes is disconcerting. It takes you off your equilibrium a little bit, and it's like. And so sometimes people misunderstand and they say, I did this spell and it got worse. Well, no, it really didn't. Just keep at it. Keep at it. And you'll notice that when the dust settles, oh, I see what happened. It was just that that things had to rebalance themselves and to get better again. Now, the thing about compensation, though, is you can use the law of just compensation for yourself. You can call on it. And this is where sometimes life can get very exciting when you realize that what you can do is imbalance things on purpose in order for the rebalancing to happen in your favor. And this is what I mean. When you are in a place of lack, the first thing you think of is, wait a minute, I need to get more things. I need to get more. Like, okay, so let's say you're out of money. What you need to do sometimes, rather than hanging out on the negative pole, is you need to go and find that positive pole, the opposite one, so that you can create a temporary imbalance to bring things back your way. So this is what I mean. If you're hanging out in poverty, rather than thinking I need more money, what you can do is say, what I need to do is create a temporary imbalance so that the universe's law of compensation can rush in and fill it up. And so what do? You go give money. You give money when you want to receive money. And that way you're putting yourself in a place where the law of compensation needs to reciprocate. Say if you're feeling really lonely, I need somebody, I got to draw somebody. Well, what that does is it leaves you hanging out in that pole. That negative pole. What you want to do is create a temporary imbalance so that you can have that just law of compensation bring the companionship to you. So what do? You have to go and give love. You have to go relieve loneliness. Then what you're doing is you're calling that just law of compensation into action so that the poles start to rebalance themselves. So you're creating a temporary imbalance by saying, I'm going to give, and the universe has to reciprocate so that you can receive. There's no two ways about it. The universe has to do that. Say that you were in a place where you lacked health, where you felt like, oh my gosh, I'm unhealthy. There's a part of me that's unhealthy. I need to get health. I need to get health. Well, what you could do instead is find somehow to give healing away. To give some healing away. Who needs some healing? Who is in pain? Who is in distress that could use your healing? Now, you could do that physically, or you could also just do it mentally by looking at somebody who's suffering and seeing them well, and seeing them getting that which they need by putting your energy into them. What you're doing is creating a temporary imbalance that in the universe that will fill up that imbalance with just compensation, with just compensation. Now, the way that the universe does that is quite interesting. The equilibrium doesn't come one for one. So you give $10 and you get $10 back. It's not like that. It's through the law of increase that it happens. So just like if you don't do anything to create that experience of the just law of compensation, let's say you're in poverty, that poverty will continue to increase. Your experience of it will continue to increase for as long as you're hanging out in that pole. But if you start to give that money away so that you can create that temporary imbalance so that the compensation can come your way, you receive more than you give. You receive more than you give. We say 10 times just because that's a mystical number. If you look at 1 and 0, you can think of the 1 as the wand and the 0 as the chalice, and that's the male and the female. They come together and they create more. And so we say that what you put out comes back tenfold, and it may not be exactly that, but that's just a symbol. It's just a symbolic, ancient symbol of increase. So that's why you can't just kind of stay stuck in the universe. You're either going to get poorer or richer. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer really is true, but it's the rich in mind that get richer and the poor in mind get poorer, right? So the cool thing about that is no matter what your need is, you have within you something to give. You always have something to give in order to create that temporary imbalance so that the universe floods you with that which you desire or require. And you can test this out for yourself today. What am I needing? What do I need? What is it that that I feel like that I have a perceived lack? Who can I give to? What can I give? What do I have to give? You always have something to give. I've told this story before many, many times, so I'm sorry if it's boring to you. I understand. I do repeat myself. But I had a business, and we were in real need of money. I think we needed I don't remember. I think it was like 10 grand or something like that. I don't remember. It was a lot of money. And we didn't know what to do. And then I remembered the law of compensation, and I said, you know what? We got to give money away. So if we need $10,000, we got to give $1,000 away. Right now, today. And luckily, they were all craft-oriented people that were in this business with me. And they said, yeah, what a great idea. Let's do it. So we gave the money away. And I think it was that week, maybe a few days later, we got this settlement from an insurance company for water damage in our suite that we didn't really deserve. And I called them and I said, we didn't really get the water damage. And they said, oh no, every tenant got an equal amount. So that's part of your settlement. Just keep it. And it was exactly what we needed. Like with a couple dollars to spare, it was exactly what we needed. So that day, I think, was the day I realized I really have nothing to worry about with anything. Because with the just law of compensation, I always have the power to create a surplus in my life of anything that I desire or require simply by finding out where I can create that temporary imbalance so that the universe can rush in and fill it. And remember that giving is what creates that temporary imbalance, and that when the universe comes to rush in and fill it, it's always an expanded version of what you gave out. And we say it's about times 10. So that can be money, it can be love, it can be health, it can be, let's say if you need some clothes. You know how that works, right? It's like, oh, my clothes, I'm so sick of my clothes, I need some new clothes. Well, what do? You give those old clothes to someone who really wants them or needs them or could use them. And you do it with joy and kindness and giving in your heart, being grateful that you can help someone out. And you know that you're going to be flooded with all kinds of new, beautiful attire. You know that works. You always know that works. Say that you need a new car. Say that you need a new car. Well, you could give your car away, but that's probably a little more than most people can handle. But what could you do as far as helping somebody out with transportation? Helping somebody out with transportation. Just give it. It's just like, well, what can I give? And it's okay that you're giving because you want to get something, but that doesn't mean that you're not giving with love in your heart. So what do I have to give? Where do I have to go? How can I help somebody out? Who needs a ride? Who needs some help with transportation? And then you give that with absolute love in your heart, so grateful that you were led as to where to create this temporary imbalance so that you can get what you need. And then you see that car showing up. You see it right before your eyes. That new automobile or whatever it is that you need shows up right before your eyes as a result of that just law of compensation kicking in. It works every time. Now, it's best to do this consciously, because even though the universe is always watching, it also doesn't do things uninvited. So it's much more powerful to say, I call upon the divine law of compensation, and I am creating a temporary imbalance in order to get blank. And therefore, I am giving blank. And you just state it out loud, and then you give it with love in your heart. With love in your heart. That's why when people who tithe, oftentimes, and when you get into doing it on a regular basis, like that's how I've always done it. It's just like, okay, the first thing I do is tithe, then I pay my taxes, then I pay my bills, kind of thing. And when I do that, I always feel comfortable with any purchase I have to make, because I know I am divinely supplied. I know that I'm divinely supplied because I've created that temporary imbalance, and the universe is always coming to fill it up. And so then as soon as that money comes in, I say, wait a minute, I got to get more imbalanced here. I got to create another temporary imbalance so that I can keep that going, keep that flow going. And you're always compensated, and it always becomes bigger and bigger because of the reality of how the universe is expanding. Everything is expansive in nature. So you're either going to expand that which you don't want, or you're going to expand what you do want, but you're not going to stand still. Nobody's standing still. So the things in your life that you feel are out of your control are only places that you haven't yet learned how to give. Any place that you see as a problem in your life is just an area where you have not yet learned how to give. Now, it doesn't always have to be like for like. It's a good idea if it's like for like. It makes more sense to your deep mind if you need money that you give money, if you need, companionship that you give companionship, if you need time that you donate time. But you can still you can still call on the law of compensation in an area of your life, even if that's not the form. For instance, I had a health problem once that needed to be taken care of, and I just gave money. That's what I did. I just did a special kind of tithe, and named it for what I was needing. And so that I was the just law of compensation was coming back to me with increased health rather than just increased money. So you can do it that way if you're in a bind and you don't know what to give. You can cross over into another area of your life. But if possible, it's a good idea to be as creative as possible, and also ask your higher self, ask your inner guide, what do I give? What is the most important place for me to give right now? What should I give? To whom? How much? What is my best? Where is my best foot forward as far as giving in order for me to create this space to be filled with what I need? Right? So that's how the just law of compensation works. It is just. It is a just law of compensation. If you want justice, there you have it. If something is not working, if somebody is being unjust to you, you can fix it. You can heal that just by learning how to give. Remember that, any area in my life that's not working is a place in which I have not yet learned how to give. So what I'm going to do is ask my inner guide what needs to be given in this situation. Where can I give? How do I give? What do I give? When do I give? How much do I give? So that this can be cleared up. And it always comes to you, maybe not at that second, but you're led, divinely guided and led. And somehow, somewhere, you'll see, this is what I can give. This is how I can give. This is where I can create that opening so that the just law of compensation can come in and fill me. And then that problem clears up. That need is filled. And you can remind yourself all the time that all your needs are filled by infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence is always filling every need. But a lot of times that the only thing that's hanging it up is that you have left no place for it. So you have to have a temporary imbalance to be filled by the universe. That means you have to create a vacuum. And you create that vacuum by giving. And you give in the manner that you want to receive. You don't give by sacrificing. If you give by sacrificing, then you're not in a position to receive. The only way that you can, the only thing that sacrificing puts you in the position to do is to take, not to receive. If you're sacrificing, then you're a taker. But if you're giving freely and with love, then you are receiving. You are already in a receptive mode because giving and receiving are one. Giving and receiving are one, but giving must precede receiving. Giving must precede receiving. You have to let go of the breath before you can inhale again, right? The only difference with that particular analogy is that your breathing capacity doesn't constantly expand because your breathing capacity is part of a limited aspect of three-dimensional reality. Right? But that's not the force that we are dealing with here. We are dealing with the infinite force of the universe, which is constantly expanding, constantly growing, constantly increasing. And so that law of increase is in operation whether you like it or not. And so the way that you can control where the increase lies in your life is by where you're creating vacuums for yourself. And you want to create the vacuums intentionally with love and guidance. And that's how you do that. And it always works. Give it a try this week. Experiment with the law of compensation. Create those little vacuums in your life. Determine where the problems are. Ask what you need to give, how you need to give, how that giving is going to best be suited to you. And then follow that direction. Follow that direction. Do it with absolute joy and love in your heart. And notice how everything changes before your eyes. Thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate you more than you'll know. Much love and many blessings.